Now the question comes, what is the best way to control the population? Here it is to ban on marriages, to put the ban on sex, medical termination of pregnancy or abortions, and late marriages. Here the best option will be the late marriages. Suppose any of the option is replaced with the contraception. In place of any of the option, contraception is there. As contraception lowers the fertility rate without interference in sexual drive, so now the preference will be given to the contraception instead of the late marriages. If both these options are there into the question, so now the answer will be contraception instead of the late marriages. Let's study the contraception and its different methods in detail. With the advancement of technology and medical assisted deliveries, there is decline in the mortality rate and the increase in the natality rate. So the population has increased rapidly. To control the population, contraception can be adopted. As contraception aims to avoid fertilization. If the fertilization has already taken place and the pregnancy is present, so the pregnancy here can be terminated through the medical termination of pregnancy or through abortion. As the contraception do not interfere in sexual drive, so the unwanted birth can be avoided by opting one of its method. The contraception can be permanent and the temporary. The another name of this is the permanent or irreversible or surgical or terminal and sterilization. These are the another name for this permanent method of the contraception. Then the temporary contraception can be the also called as the reversible and the spacing method. Here the into the permanent mode of the contraception, accuracy is high, means there is the more chances, more success rate, more surety. Here the accuracy rate is low. So here it is the accuracy is high. So here it is the low accuracy into the temporary method of contraception. Accuracy rate is low. Then here the vasectomy and the tubectomy are the type of the permanent method of the contraception. Into the vasectomy, here it is a vas defense ectomy, vasa plus ectomy. So it is to cut and the tied the vas defense. Vas defense here it is for the transfer of the sperm from the testes to the reproductive tract. Then here it is the vas defense is cut and tied. Cut and tied vas defense. So the spermatogenesis will take place, but the sperm cannot comes out through the ejaculation. So here it is the spermatogenesis is present, but sperm comes out of the testes, but the semen do not have the sperm because the vas defense is cut and tied. So the semen do not have the sperm. Semen is without sperm. Ejaculate, do not have the sperm. Here it is. This point is important. Now here it is a tubectomy. Similarly, the fallopian tube is cut and tied. Cut and tied the fallopian tube. So here oogenesis is also not inhibited, but the transfer of the ova from the fallopian tube to the uterus is prohibited. So the sperm cannot meet with the ova. So no fertilization. In both the cases, fertilization is prohibited. Then comes to the temporary mode of contraception. Then here it is the natural and the artificial. In this natural mode of contraception, there is no artificial device or the pills is taken. Then this natural mode can be propagated through the male or through the female. Propagated through male and through female. So through the male, it can be the coitus interrupts and the periodic abstinence. So first is the coitus interrupts. Coitus interrupts is also called as the penis withdrawal. So here the penis is withdrawal before the ejaculation. So copulation is present, but the ejaculation is prohibited. Copulation is present, but ejaculation is not there. Copulation is present, ejaculation is absent. So the sperm cannot comes out from the body of the male and cannot reach to the vagina, to the reproductive tract of the female. So the insemination is also inhibited, ejaculation is inhibited. Then the sperm and the ova cannot meet. So here also the spermatogenesis is present, but the ejaculation is prohibited. Means that just before the ejaculation, the male withdraw his penis from the vagina of the female. So no transfer of the sperm from the male to the female, so it also inhibit the fertilization. Then comes to the periodic abstinence. Then periodic abstinence is also termed as rhythm method. Periodic abstinence means the copulation is done only when ovulation is absent. So let's take the case of the menstrual cycle. For a 28 days menstrual cycle, the ovulation takes place on the 14th day into a 28 days menstrual cycle. Then take the lower limit and the upper limit where the ovulation can be takes place. So 3 days before and 3 days after. So it can be from 11 to 14 or 14 to 17. Here the maximum probability of the ova to be present, means ovulation chances are maximum during this period for a 28 days menstrual cycle. Then in this period of 11 to 17th day is called as the fertility period or danger period or risk period, because during this time there is the maximum chances of the ovulation. So the copulation is avoided during this fertility or the risk period. Then after this risk period for a week, there is the minimum chances of the ova to be present, and before a week from this fertility period, in both the cases there is the minimum chances of the ova to be present. So from 4 to 11 and 17 to 24, for this week and this week, there is a minimum chances of the ova to be present. So it is called as the safe period. Safe period. After this 24th day, the menstrual flow will start. So it will continue up to the 28th and will enter to the next cycle and will appear in the start from 1 to 4th. So after this, so here the 24th, the menstruals will start after this 24th. So 1 week, it can be also summarized as menstrual cycle or the menstrual flow. From here, the 1 week before the menstrual start and 1 week after the menstrual, means when the menstruation ends. So after 1 week, so menstrual here after the 1 week, so from 4 to 11, here the menstrual will end at the 4th. So from 4th to 11, it is the for the 7 days, and here from before the menstrual, so 17 to 24, it is the safe period. So 7 days after and 7 days before the menstrual cycle, it is also the called as safe period for a 28-day cycle. So here it will be the after the menstrual cycle period, it is the 4 to 11, so 7 days after and 7 days before. So this period is will be the 7 days after, so 4 to 11. And 7 days before will be the 17 to 24. The question can be asked in a different way. So here it is the complete explanation of this periodic abstinence or the rhythm method. Here it is the means knowledge of the menstrual flow, menstrual cycle is required. So here it is the copulation is done either during this 4 to 11 or it is the 17 to 24, because after the menstruation starts, the copulation is not suggested. So these are the safe period where there is a minimum chances of the fertilization. It is the periodic abstinence or the rhythm method. So copulation only when the ovulation is absent. Copulation is made only when the ovulation is absent. Then comes the lactational amenorrhea. Lactational amenorrhea means first baby it is made through the female. Here it is the first baby. And it is going on the lactation period. So by the lactation action of this first baby, there is the release of the stimulation for the release of hormones, that is the prolactin and the oxytocin. This prolactin inhibit the release of the FSH and the LH from the mother's pituitary, follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone. These are responsible for the development and the release of the ova. So here the ovulation will not occur as FSH and the LH will not release. So oogenesis and the ovulation is absent. Oogenesis and ovulation is absent. Then this oxytocin is responsible for the uterine contraction, so it will not allow the implantation. Here it is the uterine contraction, so implantation is not favored. Implantation is not favored. This lactational amenorrhea process means the sucking action by the baby produces the hormones, stimulates the mother to release these hormones, oxytocin and the prolactin, by the action of which the condition are created which do not allow the development of the further ovulation and the pregnancy. So this lactational amenorrhea is effective only up to the 6 months. After that it is less effective. So this is comes under a natural method of the temporary or the reversible or the spacing method of the contraception. This can be reversible. So when the baby stops sucking action, then the oogenesis and the ovulation will takes place, or the uterine contraction will stops. Here also the coitus interrupts or the penis withdrawal. It can be means these are just the temporary methods. So into the exam it will be asked which of the following can be the reversible or the irreversible mode of the contraception. So these are all the reversible mode of the contraception. Now let's study about the artificial mode of the contraception.